Salutations readers, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nkechi, and today I'm going to talk about 40 plus books I'm looking forward to in 2025. I did create a playlist of some just new releases in general, especially for 2024. I will link that playlist down in the video description down below. But it is now time to talk about books that we are anticipating for the new year. I know for some people, they're not totally sure what books are coming out. Maybe they don't quite have a pulse on new releases, but for some reason this year, I have much of a stronger pulse on new releases than I did in like previous years. Like every year, I'm just finding out more and more about books coming out. Whether mostly books I'm most likely really excited about, and then some of the books I'm curious about, pretty excited. Ones I'm like, I don't think I'm ever gonna read this. So I did narrow down the list because I actually have nearly 70 books that I am looking forward to some extent for next year, but I've only limited to being around 40-ish, maybe close to 50, 40, 45, somewhere around there. So I will be going through as many of these books. I'm going to try to be very quick about them though, so I'm not going to be any in-depth as far as the synopses. But in the video description, I will be writing out the title, author, and respective release dates as far as US release dates. As far as anywhere else in the world, I can only speak for US release dates, maybe even UK one if there is no US release date, which I will mention here, but it would all be mentioned in the video description down below. So there are ones that you're not totally sure about, or again, not all of these books I even have on here even have covers. Most do that I am going to mention in this video will have covers, but not every single one of them will. Maybe just like a placeholder cover or something. So I will also still have those titles, authors, dates down below so that at least if y'all are interested and want to have this video in reference in the future as far as release dates are concerned, it will be in the video description down below. Yeah, so I'm going to try my best to be quick about these books because I have a lot. And again, we're going to go through by the months, and we'll start with January. The first book I'm actually going to talk about, I do have an e-arc for, and that is Water Moon by Samantha, Sotto, Yambao. This comes out January 14th, and this is an adult magical realism romance. Takes place in Tokyo, and yeah, I think there's like a pawn shop, something about a secret. Yeah, I don't really know too much about it, but it looked really, really interesting. I like the cover, honestly. The cover really did intrigue me, and I don't know, I don't know this is gonna be a romance I'm particularly gonna love, but I want to at least just give this book a shot. It just looked really, really cool, and I do think that just a little bit of the synopsis just intrigued me enough that I think I'm going to enjoy it. Death of the Author by Nnedi Okorafor also comes out January 14th. This one is a contemporary lit fic, and this one says here's a tale about family, culture, and identity, breathtaking examination of the relationship between writer and reader. Heartfelt, tender, and an ambitious meta-drama about what makes us human. Yeah, and actually I don't have much actual information on it, even though it comes out in January, so yeah, that's all I really know about it. I don't have an arc of this one, but I am indeed excited though, because I'm definitely a fan of Dr. Okorafor, and I'm looking forward to reading something of hers that is more speculative leaning or being more literary and contemporary than so like SFF. So very curious about this one. Hammajang Luck by Makan Yamamoto. This one is a debut novel. This one is an adult queer sci-fi. I think this has been marketed for fans of Getting the Ninth, Six Crows. It's like Ocean's 8 meets Blade Runner. It takes place, I think, in Hawaii. It's written by a native Hawaiian author. So yeah, I do also have an e-arc of this one too, thanks to the publisher. So I'm very much looking forward to reading this one. The Legend of Meneka by Kritika H. Rao comes out January 21st. This is the first book in a duology. This is a fantasy romance retelling of something. For some reason, I didn't have much more information, but it's the first book in a duology, and I also have an e-arc of this book as well. Strange Beach Poems by Oluwaseun Olayiwola. This comes out January 21st. This is written by a queer Nigerian American author, and this is a debut poetry collection. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really read much poetry, but like if you're gonna have poetry written by a queer Nigerian American person, I just want to check it out. I saw a cover, I think I saw on someone's Instagram story once that they were looking forward to this book coming out next year, and I was like, yep, I want to read that one. Yin Yang Love Song by Rom-Com Jessen. This is the same author as Lunar Love and Red String Theory. So this is her third novel. This one comes out January 28th. This is another contemporary romance. This time that we're following a Chinese herbalist. And I'm not totally sure actually who the love interest is supposed to be, but this time that we're following like a Chinese herbalist and stuff. So again, like the whole love life, fate, all that stuff. Pretty much very similar to like Lunar Love, Red String Theory, stuff like that. So I don't know if I'll particularly love this one, but I'm curious about it, and I still enjoy Rom-Com Jessen's writing enough, so we'll continue on with that. Next, for February, we have Illusions of Fire by Nisha Sharma. This is a young adult fantasy. I think it's a standalone. It comes out February 11th. I'm mostly just curious about this one because I've never read anything from this author before. I don't even know if this is a debut or not. I'm not even sure this is even a standalone, because for all I know, I could say standalone, but it ends up being the first book in the series. But for right now, as far as the information I have of it, it's just a straight up standalone. I think we're doing with like paranormal though. I think it's like more paranormal fantasy. But yeah, that's all I really got. I don't know too much about it. I got abducted by aliens and now I'm trapped in a rom-com by Kimberly Lemming. I mean, it says so in the title what this book is gonna be about, but it's an adult fantasy romance by the same author as the Mead Mishap series. This is the first book in a series in its song called Cosmic Chaos. So this is the first book in a whole other series, and it comes out February 18th. I'm curious about this one. I don't know if I particularly will love it, but we'll see. Ambessa, Children of the Wolf by C.L. Clark. And this is adult fantasy. It comes out February 18th. So this is pretty much we're following, well, Ambessa, which if y'all have seen the show or even familiar, I mean, I'm not sure if it's really a League of Legends, but for sure, though, if you've seen Arcane, then you know who Ambessa is. So, like, I'm very much curious to read this story, and I've never read anything by C.L. Clark either, but I do think that I am going to enjoy this one because I do find Ambessa's character in the show to be interesting, especially when you do get to, like, season 2. So I'm very, very, very curious to read this one, and I'm very much curious as well, like, the particular version, like, the particular part of the world of Arcane as well, so yeah, I don't really read books in an intellectual property, but this is definitely what I'm most actively interested in. Now, next, we're going to move on to March. The River Has Roots by Al-Motar also comes on March 4th, and this will be Al-Motar's solo debut. And I'm very much looking forward to this one. So, like, if any of y'all have read This Is How You Lose a Time War, then this is the, I think this novella actually, because it's a fantasy novella, I think this will be really good. I do also have an e-arc of this book as well, so I am very much looking forward to this one. I'm very, very excited. The Prince Without Sorrow by Matri Wijeksekara. Don't know if I pronounced the author's name correctly, but it comes out March 18th. Then this one's the first book in a fantasy trilogy. Debut author. Says you're drawing on inspiration from the Mauryan Empire of ancient India. Debut author plunges readers into the first amazing book of the Obsidian Throne trilogy, a new fantasy series of hunted witches, romantic angst, and political intrigue, perfect for fans of the Hurricane Wars and the Jasmine Throne. Next up, I do have The Buffalo Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. Comes out March 18th. All I know is this is a historical horror novel set in the American West in 1912, following a Lutheran priest who transcribes the life of a vampire who haunts the fields of the Blackfeet Reservation looking for justice. Wow, that sounds really intense, but also really, really good. Granted, I've never read anything from Stephen Graham Jones, but I do think this is one of his works that I'm like, let's start here. It's like, it's not part of like a series or anything. I'm still interested though in like the Indian Lake trilogy, but I want to try something that's not part of a series first of his, and this one greatly intrigued me. All right, time for a water break. All right, now for April, we have Gifted and Talented by Olivia Blake. Comes out April 1st. I know that's not a joke. This one's adult fantasy. This is another standalone. And it says here, like a never before published standalone that reads like Succession with magic. Oh yeah, that's right. I actually think this is pretty much straight up original. This is not a book that was originally self-published turned traditionally published. This is just straight up original, first time ever being published. So this is actually really exciting because a lot of Olivia Blake's works have been originally self-published, now turned traditionally published. So very much excited to read something that's just straight up new. And I really like the cover. It's giving very surreal, and I'm very much looking forward to this one. So I think we follow, who are we following? 2 people or 3 people? 3 telepathically and electrokinetically gifted children. And I think it's supposed to be just a story about gifted children and the burnout regarding that, which I'm like, yeah, relate. I relate, so I'ma read. A Drop of Corruption by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is the sequel to The Tainted Cup, which I really did love and enjoy from this year. And so this is a fantasy mystery. Definitely an anticipated release for me. Next, Don't Sleep with the Dead by Nnedi. This one comes out April 8th. This is a, I think, standalone companion novella following Nick Carraway and Jay Gatsby from The Chosen and the Beautiful. I have not read The Chosen and the Beautiful. The Chosen and Beautiful and Siren Queen are the only Nnedi works I have never read. I do plan on reading them next year though, in time for this novella. I don't know if you need to read The Chosen and Beautiful though in order to read this novella. Like, I don't know if this is like a Singing Hill type of situation as far as companion standalones are concerned, but I am indeed curious though to really understand the world version of this Great Gatsby, because like The Chosen Beautiful is a Great Gatsby retelling, so I might just end up reading The Chosen Beautiful before reading this one, but I do really like the cover. Next is A Palace Near the Wind by Hammajang. Comes out April 8th. This is another novella. This is fantasy, horror, literary, sci-fi. It's quite all over the place, really. It's a story of family, loss, oppression, and rebellion for readers of Nnedi, The Empress of Salt and Fortune, Neon Young's The Black Tides of Heaven, and Kritika H. Rao's The Surviving Sky. And then the next book here, I mean, like, if you know me, this obviously is gonna be on the list. It has to be on my list. And that is Somadina by Okorafor and Mezi. It comes out April 15th. We're finally getting another young adult fantasy from them. And this one is set in the magical West African world about a teen girl who must save her missing twin while learning to navigate her own terrifying new powers. So, of course, anytime Okorafor and Mezi comes out with a new book, I'm always here to go pre-order. I'ma read, request, hopefully they approve for me, and I can read. So yeah, but anyways, that's it for April releases. So let's move on to May. For May, we have Modern Divination by Isabel Agajanian. Comes out May 6th. Now, maybe this title sounds familiar, but this book was originally self-published January of 2023, and now it's being republished traditionally through Pan Macmillan. I do have an e-arc of this book. Granted though, it does come out January 30th, 2025 in the UK, but in the United States, it comes out May 6th. So, just to let y'all know, I do own the self-published version. I have not finished reading the self-published version. Actually, I did DNF it. But I am really looking forward though to a traditionally published version of this book. I have heard from the author that there is some considerable changes from the self-published to the traditional published. I mean, the covers are different for sure, but actually the bulk of the writing and the story is changed. I don't know how much of it's changed, but there's some changes. And yeah, it also does change, I think, the trajectory of like how the sequel's gonna go. So I also knew about the sequel, so there is a sequel coming out as well. Not this year, I mean, not for 2025, but like in future. So yeah, there's a lot about this book that I'm familiar with, but I'm also not being familiar with, and I'm very excited to read my e-arc. Immaculate Conception by Leilun Hong comes out May 13th. This is the sophomore novel of Leilun Hong. Their debut novel was Natural Beauty. I still need to get back to Natural Beauty, but I do look forward though to reading their sophomore novel, which is a gothic literary horror set in the fiercely competitive art world, a novel about an obsessive friendship upended by cutting-edge technology purported to enhance empathy and connection. Of Monsters and Mainframes by Barbara Truelove also comes out May 13th. This is actually one of the books coming from Bindery, actually, and it's the Ease Cat Press imprint. So something about this one, I think the tagline is like, spaceships aren't programmed to seek revenge, but for Dracula, Demeter will make an exception. So yeah, a queer love child of pop horror and classic sci-fi. This is a dazzling, heartfelt odyssey that probes what it means to be one of society's monsters and explores the main types of friendship that makes us human. Chica, I think it's pronounced it, by Carolina Flores Sachiaro. Also comes out May 13th. This is a gothic horror, perfect for fans of Mexican Gothic and The Shining. A real-life Latin American haunted mansion, a murky labyrinth of family secrets, a young aristocratic woman desperate to escape her past. Yeah, it does sound similar a little bit to like Mexican Gothic, but I do think it's set in like a wholly different country. Yeah, this one is set in Colombia, so also 1920s Colombia. So I'm very much curious about this one actually. Hamartan Season by Tochi Onyobuchi. He's finally come out with another book, y'all. Definitely an anticipated release for me. I am very much excited to read another Tochi Onyobuchi novel. This one's adult. Fantasy noir comes out May 27th. I'm not really familiar with noir as a genre, let alone mixed in with fantasy, so I'm not totally sure what to expect with this one. Says here it's Raymond Chandler meets P. Jelly Clark in a post-colonial West Africa. I mean, say less. Crueler Mercies by Marlon Chase. This one comes out May 27th as well. This is an adult queer fantasy. Also coming out through one of Binary Books' imprints, Fantasy and Friends. And we're talking about a princess who's forced into the exile. And then years later, she's getting married to an enemy general, something like that. I'm not really looking too deeply into this analysis, honestly. We don't even have time. But really, though, I'm just really intrigued since this is published by another binary imprint, and specifically this binary imprint. But yeah, we'll see if this one ends up being a new favorite of mine whenever I get to it, but I am indeed looking forward to this one from Bindery. Anyways, that's all the books though for May, so let's move on to June. First up for June, I do have The Emperor of Gladness by Ocean Vuong. This one comes out June 3rd. I'm curious about this one. I didn't particularly love On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by them, but I am curious enough to check it out. It's adult lit fic. This is a big-hearted novel about chosen family, unexpected friendship, and the stories we tell ourselves in order to survive. 10 Incarnations of Rebellion by Vaishnavi Patel also comes out June 3rd. This is an adult historical fiction, kind of like Gaiki, but this one is an epic and daring novel that imagines an alternate version of India that was never liberated from the British, and a young woman who will change the tides of history. And this one's supposed to mirror, I think, what was it? Dashavartara, the 10 avatars of Vishnu, hence why it's called 10 Incarnations of Rebellion. So, I don't know, I'm very curious. I still have yet to read anything from Vaishnavi Patel, but every single time she comes up with a new book, I'm like, this sounds awesome. I want to read it. I still need to read Kaike and Goddess of the River, but I do also want to read this one. So I'm making a list, y'all. I'm making a list. We Can Never Leave by H.E. Edgman. This one comes out June 10th. This is a young adult queer contemporary fantasy. Sweet Tooth meets the Raven Boys in this book about what it means to belong. Sounds really good. The Potency of Ungovernable Impulses by Malcolm Older comes out June 10th. This is the third and maybe the final book in the Investigations of Mausam Paletti series. I don't know if this is the final book, but this is definitely the third one. This one, again, if you don't know what the series is, it's a sapphic sci-fi mystery set in Jupiter. I think this was also going to be considerably longer than the other novellas, so I don't even know this is even a novella anymore. This might just be a straight up short sci-fi novel. So we shall see, but I am really looking forward to checking out this book. I don't know if it's the last one, but we shall see. The Unmapping of Denise S. Robbins comes out June 24th. This one is also another book from Binary, but it's from a new imprint called Mariez, and it's actually, the main tastemaker is actually Marinez from My Name is Marinez. So this is actually from her imprint, and I'm actually very excited to check out a book from her imprint, actually. I think this is some sort of is it a climate disaster? Some sort of disaster. And it takes place in New York. Oh, this is, themes of climate change, political unrest, and social justice. So this is kind of like a climate disaster kind of book. And it's also, again, a debut novel. So very much excited, though, to read this one. I think this one I will really, really enjoy. So congratulations, Marinez, for this book coming out from her imprint. Very much excited. And then also coming on June 24th, we have A Treachery of Swans by A.B. Portnick. This is the author of Where the Dark Stands Still, which came out this year. So this is their sophomore novel. This is a young adult fantasy romance that is some sort of a dark, sapphic retelling of the Swan Princess. That's all I really know about it. And I don't want to look too closely into the synopsis right now, but I am indeed curious about this one. Also, I really do like the cover. I think the cover is the same cover artist as Lucy Undying and what was that one book? And A Dark and Drowning Tide. Yeah, those books. I think it's the same cover artist because the cover art is very similar. All right, water break. Anyways, that's all for June. Now we're going to July. So first up is Ascension by S.T. Gibson. This is the sequel to Evocation and comes out July 8th. We do finally have a cover about this one, and this one does follow Reese. Yeah, and I'm actually very much now excited for this one because of Odd Spirits. So I do think I will have a better time with Ascension with the right expectations. So we'll see about this one. I do hope I do get an arc of this one as well. Now this next book here, I actually just found out about this book like a few days ago that it was even coming out next year, let alone July. But I have Sweet Heat by Bolu Babalola. This is her sophomore novel, y'all. Finally, after how long has it been since Honey and Spice came out? We're finally having another book by her, and I'm so happy. Although I am very nervous though, because I already looked at the synopsis. I'm like, wait a minute, wait, what's happening? Because like, I do think Sweet Heat is supposed to be like a sequel, because we're following the exact same characters of Honey and Spice into Sweet Heat. It's pretty much a sequel to it. And we're dealing with a second chance romance? Like, what? Like, what do you mean the main couple from, like, Honey and Spice broke up between the books, and now we got a second chance romance? Like, what? I don't know. I don't know why Bolu Babalola went in this direction. I'm very curious, but I'm also concerned, because I don't know. I've never read a second chance romance book before, but I'm a trust in Bolu Babalola and her writing and her way she writes romance. I'm gonna trust that I'm gonna enjoy this, because if I don't end up enjoying this, I'm gonna feel very bad. I don't know how to feel. Also coming in July, we do have The Memory of Ogusi by Moses Osei-Utomi. Comes out July 15th. This is the third and final book in the, what's this series called? Forever Desert series. Yes, so it is a fantasy novella. This one in particular shadows every truth, destroys every lie, and is a story of oppression no one shall ever forget. Yep, this sounds very much in line with like the first two novellas, and I'm very much excited to wrap up this series. And the cover looks really, really good, so really, really looking forward to the end of this trilogy. The Bewitching by Sylvia Moreno Garcia also comes out July 15th. This one's an adult fantasy horror where we're following three women in three different eras encountering danger and witchcraft in this eerie multi-generational horror saga. And again, I only read one Sylvia Moreno Garcia book, and I'm like, yep, I must try to read just about pretty much like all of her other works. And lastly, for July, I do have The Death of Shame by Ambrose Parry. There is no official cover. It does come out in the United Kingdom in July 31st. This book here is actually the fifth and final book in the Raven and Fisher mystery series. If any of y'all do not know, I've been reading this series by this authors, but for like a couple, is it 2 years? About a couple years, yeah. In 2023, I read The Way of All Flesh, and I read all those books that were coming out, that were already out in 2023, and now we have the fifth and final book in that series coming out next year, and I'm very much excited. This one is set in 1854 Edinburgh, where Sarah Fisher is helping to fund Dr. Will Raven's emerging medical practice. Well, she's also trained to be a medic herself. So yeah, this is a historical mystery though. So there will be a mystery element. I don't know what the mystery part is going to be. There's not a lot of information about this book yet, but I'm so excited though for this book to come out so that I can actually be done with the mystery series. Because I wasn't sure how long the series was going to be, but I am indeed very excited to get back into this world and get back to Will Raven and Sarah Fisher and just finishing up this series. I'm so excited. Definitely one of my most anticipated releases of the year for sure. But anyways, that's it for July releases. So let's get into August. Coming out on August 5th, though, we do have Dust Settles North by Dina El-Janaidi. I don't know. Did I pronounce? I hope I pronounced the author's name correctly. But this one's an adult literary debut, also coming from a bindery imprint, Boundless Press, which is the main tastemaker is Nnedi from This Story Ain't Over. So I'm also very much looking forward to this book as well. So this book takes place in 2012 in a post-revolution Egypt, where we're following, I think, two people who fly from, I think going to Egypt, I think connecting to something, I don't know. All I know, this is set in 2012, post-revolution Egypt, and we're following, I think, two people, and this is adult lit fic. So yeah, I don't really need to know too much information about it. I do like the cover, and I'm very much looking forward to reading this debut novel. Next up, coming out August 19th, is The Possession of Alba Diaz by Isabel Cañas, and I really am excited for this one. Granted, I've only read Vampiros of El Norte, but I still am interested in reading The Hacienda, so I think The Possession of Alba Diaz is just something that, like, this is gonna work for me. So I really do love Isabel Cañas' writing. This is a horror thriller where a demonic presence awakens deep in a Mexican silver mine. The young woman it seizes must turn to the one man she shouldn't trust. And I think this takes place in, it says here it takes place in like 1765. So wow, we definitely going way back in time with this one, but I'm very much curious about this one. And this was a possession story, and I don't think I really read many possession horror thrillers stories, so yeah, I'm very much curious about this one. I really do love the cover for this one as well, so I think this is gonna be one I'm going to really enjoy. And then next up, this book here, I know a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people are anticipating this one, Cats of Basis by R.F. Kuang. Very much looking forward to this one. I think the only thing we really know about this one, because there is no official cover, there's still like a cover placeholder right now. I think it's supposed to come out August 26th, give or take. This was following two academic rivals from Cambridge who must travel to hell to rescue the soul of their advisor. Getting there was easy, surviving it and each other is another thing entirely. So I don't know if there'll be like a academic rivals or lovers romance or anything, but like it does sound like something that could happen. So yeah, I actually really am though looking forward to Cats of Basis, and I'm very much looking forward though to that cover. I really want a cover reveal. But that's it though for August. Next up is September, and I don't have really much on this one because there's not a lot of books with official dates for September yet. But the first one is The Second Death of Locke by V.L. Bovalino. This one comes out sometime in September in the United Kingdom. There's no straight up release date. This one's an adult fantasy, and I think this is described as Gideon the Ninth meets Shadow and Bone and by way of the Six Deaths of the Saint. And it's the first book in a trilogy. So yeah, and I think it's supposed to be, I think this author's, I don't know, is it an adult debut? Because I think this author with a slightly different pen name writes in young adult, so I think this one is like an adult debut. So yeah, it's gothic, packed with political intrigue and an intricate magic system. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this one. Anything that's been compared to Getting the Knife, I'm like, yep, I'm gonna read. I really want to check it out. Even though it comes out in the UK, I don't know if it's ever gonna come out in the United States, but like, I want to read it. Next up for September, I have The Maid and Her Monster by Maddie Martinez. This one comes out September 9th. It doesn't have an official cover yet either, but it does have a placeholder cover. This one is a queer historical fantasy retelling of the Jewish myth of Golem. That's all I really know about it, honestly. I don't know too much about it. So yeah, I'm very much curious to read this one, and I'm looking forward to whenever there's a cover reveal of this one as well. I'm very much excited to check out this next book that's coming out in September, Cemetery Boys Espiritu by Aiden Thomas. This is the sequel to Cemetery Boys. And this time though, instead of following, who was the main character? Who was the main character in the first book? Okay, Yadriel. So instead of following Yadriel from like Cemetery Boys, we're following Julian this time around. So I'm very much curious actually to be more on Julian's perspective. There is a synopsis. I'm not gonna really go too much into it, especially if you haven't read Cemetery Boys. I don't know if I'm going to reread Cemetery Boys to read this sequel or not. Probably not. I probably won't even reread the first book. I'll just get into the sequel and just jump right in. But I'm very much looking forward to it, and it comes out September 16th. That is it for September releases. So let's just quickly get into the books for October. There's no specific release dates for these ones, but I'm curious about this one. So far we have Savage Blooms by S.T. Gibson. This is not in the same series as like Evocation and Ascension. This is actually the first book in a whole new series. This one's an adult queer fantasy romance. I think it's supposed to be more of an erotic one. This is supposed to be like an erotic fantasy romance. And it has a male-female polycule thing going on here. And yeah, there is character art, so I will feature the character art here. But I don't know. I do like how S.T. Gibson writes polyamory. So I really wanted to check out this book whenever it comes out. And whenever we have more of a solid synopsis. But I'm very much curious about this one. And then next up we have When They Burned the Butterfly by Wen Yi Lee. This was an adult historical queer fantasy. It says here this is a fierce, glamorous adult debut, reads like Sylvia Moreno Garcia meets Fauna Lee with the feverish intensity of R. Kwong's Poppy War trilogy. So this takes place in Singapore in 1972. So as a newly independent city of immigrants grappling for power in a fast modernizing world. Here, gangsters are the last conduits of the gods their ancestors brought with them, and the back alleys where they fight are the last place where magic has not been assimilated and legislated away. So yeah, seems like a pretty intense novel, and it's the first book in a series, and I'm very much actually curious about this one. I don't know if this is a trilogy or a duology. It might be a trilogy, maybe a duology. Who knows? But I'm actually just curious just to even check it out, and I do like the placeholder covers, so I think we're gonna have a lot of butterfly-related things in the final covers. And then last but not least, actually, for October, I think this, I don't know if this date is official, but so far I do have a date for October 28th. I have Cry Voidbringer by Elaine Ho. So this one is also going to be published by an imprint of Bindery as well. I'm just going to look at the publisher's marketplace thing. It says here that for this book in which a jaded warrior constricted by a kingdom battling their imperialist masters accidentally rescues a child whose existence can easily turn the tide of war, and they must navigate the kingdoms play where their captors took to reclaim a memory of an empire while the cities they conquered don't want their version of liberation. So yeah, fall 2025, but I think it's supposed to be October. I don't know, it sounds pretty cool to me. I don't know much else besides just that from Publisher's Marketplace, but I'm curious about it whenever it comes out. Yeah, but that's pretty much it actually. I think that's all the books that I have for y'all for this list, but gosh, was that a lot. And I mean a lot of books, y'all. So I do hope that y'all are curious about these books. Maybe y'all also are interested about these books as well, but let me know. Are y'all curious and anticipating the same books I'm anticipating? Are there any books that y'all are anticipating that I didn't put in this video that maybe I should? Like, are y'all anticipating books that I should be reading and also be anticipating as well? Like, I'm always here to add to my list. Granted, it's not my full list, but like, I can add more to this list, you know? And I definitely see myself making a part 2 in like 2025 of like more anticipated releases, so like this is not even conclusive video for 2025. Do expect a part 2 like I did this year, so something to look forward to as well. Anyways, y'all, thank you all for coming on to this video and watching it. Like this video if you like it, comment down below your thoughts, subscribe if you want to, if you haven't already. And if you made it this far into the video, you're not really sure what to say, but you want to leave me an emoji, let me know you're here. Leave me some sort of partying emoji to celebrate the fact we have a lot of anticipated releases, or just a lot of releases that we're just interested in reading for next year. Something like that. It could be a party favor, it could be like a wine bottle popping, I don't know, something. It could be a cake even, a cupcake, I don't even care. Just some sort of emoji. Anyways, thank you all for coming on to this video, and I hope to see you on my next one. Bye.